Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons & Dragons. And today on the Doctor Spell Prognosis, we are talking about the spell Plant Growth. We are giving this spell a B+. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. All right. So Plant Growth, we're giving it a B+. It is a third-level spell that is usable by bards, druids, rangers, nature domain druids, Circle of the Land, Nature Domain Clerics, Circle of the Land, Forest Druids, Circle of Wildfire Druids, Oath of Ancients Paladin, and the Archfey Warlock. So, it is a third-level spell that has a special casting time because you have two different options. We're going to talk about those. One is in combat, one is out of combat. It has a range of 150 feet, a massive range. But you need that because it has a massive radius. It has a verbal and somatic component. It's transmutation. So the spell channels vitality into plants within a specific area. So there have to be plants present. That's the first rider on this. There are two possible uses for the spell, granting either immediate or long-term effects. Now, it does not say how many plants need to be in the area. It just says plants. It just says vitality into plants within a specific area. The radius of this first one is if you cast the spell using one action, choose a point within range. All normal plants within a 100-foot radius centered on that point become thick and overgrown. It doesn't say how much. It just says they become thick and overgrown. So my interpretation of this is that you could throw down a little square of moss, and there's no material component for this, by the way, but you could throw down, you need to be able to throw it pretty far, a little bit of moss, or if there is a little bit of moss within the area that you're getting ready to go, you cast this, and the moth grows out in a 100-foot radius, causing the next sentence, a creature moving through the area must spend 4 feet of movement for every foot it moves. Now, that is not difficult terrain. The term difficult terrain does not appear in this spell at all. So that is not considered difficult terrain. It's considered 4 feet of movement for every foot it moves. So if you move 1 foot, then you have to move 5 feet or 4 feet. If there is another effect in here that causes difficult terrain, which difficult terrain causes you to add an extra foot for every foot of movement that you move. I would say that for every foot of movement you want to move, it will cost you 5 feet of movement. So if you wanted to move 5 feet, it would cost you 25 feet of movement. You can exclude one or more areas of any size within the spell's area from being affected. So you can shape it the way that you want, by the way. If you cast the spell over 8 hours, you enrich the land. All plants in a half-a-mile radius centered on the point which within range become enriched for 1 year. The plants yield twice the normal amount of food when harvested. This is a role-playing effect for flavor and role-playing ability, I guess you could say, or role-playing storytelling effects. Mainly we want to talk about what it's used for mechanically in combat. The spell wording is very confusing because of that. I would talk with your DM. I'm giving you my interpretation as a DM, but I would talk with your DM about what you're required to have in the area when you cast the spell to get the full 100-foot radius effect of the spell. It's a magic spell. It's supposed to do fantastical things. It's a third-level spell. I would say you just need a little bit of plant in the area, and the area becomes 100-foot radius of tangled plants. Remember, lichen is not a plant, by the way. Lichen is a fungus. So, but moss is a plant. Vines and roots are plants. Those are usually found just about everywhere, even underground. Fungi are not plants. Just remember that. Fungi are fungi. So there is that. Even though they fall under the plant description in like a plant creature. So all fungal creatures appear as plant creatures. So I would say that if you have a little bit of plant material, that's all you would need. Now, what are some other spells that work really good with this? So, spike growth is a good one because this A doesn't require concentration and B, it's permanent. So the area that is overgrown now becomes permanently overgrown. You can start layering concentration spells on this to make it even worse. So spike growth. Spike growth is not, it's a good spell to put in this, but it's not the best one, and there's a reason for that. So the ground in a 20-foot radius centered on a point within range becomes difficult terrain for the duration, which is 10 minutes. And when a creature moves into or within the area, it takes 2d4 piercing damage for every 5 feet it travels. So with this spell, it's not going to be traveling very much, so it's not going to be taking very much damage. But it is difficult terrain, thus would slow the creature down to 5 feet for every foot of movement. Black Tentacles is another great spell. So for the duration, the tentacles turn the ground in an area of difficult terrain. There's that again. And then they start attacking anything within it. So this makes it very hard to move out of that. If something were to succeed on its dexterity saving throw or make a strength or dexterity check to get out. It's not going to get out because it's 5 feet of movement for every foot of movement that it wants to go. Another good spell, and we've talked about this one earlier with this, is Hunger of Hadar. Creates an area of difficult terrain, making it very hard to get out of that 20-foot radius, especially if something's in the very center of it. Stinking Cloud, all the cloud spells are good for this one. Now, it creates an area of plants, so we have to be careful what we're doing, because something like Incendiary Cloud could burn them away, and that could be your DM's interpretation. Stinking Cloud, it doesn't really cause any damage, and so something is going to be stuck in the plant growth, and a Stinking Cloud put on top of them is going to cause them to be kind of stuck in it. Cloud Kill, so this does some poison damage, so you do have to kind of clear this with your DM on whether if it's going to affect the plants or not, but it could, and therefore it might not be great, but it could. Another great spell, Nather's Mischief, 20-foot cube within range, and because of the plant growth, the person's stuck in it and they can't get out of Nather's Mischief, and they will be taking the effects more often than they normally do. All right, that's what I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.